Welcome to That Space. Happy Sunday. I told you we were doing a bonus episode. I'm your host, as always, Caleb Salvatore. We're reporting from somewhere underground and laughing our way through the end of days. Brought to you by our friends at Blood of Tyrants Wines. DrinkBloodOfTyrants.com. We'll get you 10% off your order with the promo code BASED. They got two types of wines, both red and white, along with the Liquid Freedom Energy Drink. DrinkBloodOfTyrants.com. Promo code BASED, B-A-S-E-D. You like the title of the show, going to save you 10% off your order and help you support the brands that help me yell into a microphone for a somewhat hobby. All right, we have got a special guest, as we promised. We got Barry Rubin. He is the campaign manager, right?
Yep.
For Mike McDonnell for mayor.
That's correct.
We appreciate you coming on, man.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm thankful for the opportunity to talk to you today.
I know it's been chaotic. So, like, what? How did this all get started?
Mike has always wanted to serve Omaha he has served Omaha for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And I think when he was in the legislature for 8 years, he was watching the way the current administration was doing things and just had decided that he was going to jump in, despite the fact that he got kicked out of the Democratic Party. Despite the fact that he took some pretty controversial votes that weren't so popular with people in Omaha, he thinks he has something that he believes, and we all do, obviously.
Yeah.
That he has a different way of doing things, a different way of working with people that will benefit the city way more than what we're dealing with now.
So why did he get run out of the Democrat Party? I kind of followed that. That was what, 2024 that happened?
That was just a year ago.
Yeah.
Almost exactly a year ago. I think it was April.
Yeah.
I used to be the head of the Democratic Party.
Did you really?
I did, back in the early 2000s.
Wow.
I'm a Ben Nelson Democrat.
Okay.
I'm a Blue Dog Democrat. I'm a labor, working families Democrat.
Yeah.
And at least I was.
Yeah.
But those can't exist anymore.
No, it's white women and gays now.
Because the Democrats have really decided to focus all of their time and energy and communications to a very small portion of the population and neglect the rest of it. Mm-hmm. And so, whether it's from the river to the sea or, boys and girls sports or whatever it might be, the party just we both feel like the party kind of left us.
Yeah.
Mike actually got censured by the Democratic Party back in early 2024 for two reasons, mostly. One, was because he supported limitations on abortions,
right,
and helped push that bill forward. Mike is extremely Catholic, extremely pro-life from conception to natural death.
Yeah.
So he's been consistent on that his whole life, and the Democratic Party's known that forever. And there's and then he doesn't believe that minors should be allowed to have gender-altering surgeries.
Which I feel like both of those are common sense.
So do we. And I know it doesn't happen very often, but it should never happen as far as he's concerned. And so, for those two reasons, that the Democratic Party decided that he didn't fit their model.
Yeah. And
so kind of cut him loose, and the Republicans embraced him, and he became a Republican soon after. But, and so he's kind of a man without a party. But and then when Mike didn't support the winner take all situation, right, at the last minute before the election, he pissed off the Republicans. So he almost got censured by two political parties in 6 months. So
that's impressive. I think I like.
So it's and his politics are kind of all over the place. He doesn't fit in the mold.
That's how I am. I think that's how I am too. I think that's how most people are. Honestly, I don't think most people fit into the mold. That's what I tell people. Like, if you listen to this show and you find yourself agreeing with everything I'm saying, stop.
Right.
Get out.
Right.
Get out, because you're not thinking for yourself.
That's exactly right.
That's so crazy, that the two issues, because I had someone ask me who I was voting for mayor, and I said Mike McDonnell, and they said, well, he's a piece of shit. And I went, based on what? And she said, well,
right,
his values are fucked up. And I went, well, what are his values?
Right.
What's wrong? And they didn't even know. And I said, the two issues they're big on are he doesn't want abortion after the first trimester,
right,
and he doesn't want kids to get their dicks chopped off. And they're like, oh, well, that's actually kind of reasonable. I'm like, yeah, because you just hear the propaganda.
The problem with sort of the progressive left now, or whatever anybody's calling them today, is, the fact that I might be pro-life, they now like to call you names. They'll call you, they'll say you're anti-women,
right,
because you're pro-life.
Right.
If you don't support gender-altering surgeries for minors, they call you anti-LGBTQ. Or whatever, you know what I mean? And that's just not the case.
No, not at all.
And for them to translate that into that, he'd been, Nazis, bigots,
right,
whatever you might want to call them. We've been called all the names in the book simply because we have common sense.
Yeah.
And it's a detriment to the Democratic Party. And if they keep going down that road, I think they're going to keep losing, frankly. So,
well, there's some, you don't have to say his name, but we know who he is. There's some doorknob who goes around and writes Mike McDonnell as a Nazi with sidewalk chalk. Yeah. You've seen that guy?
Yeah. His name's Mike, or his name's Joyce, I believe.
Joyce.
I think he changed his name to Joyce.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's actually being paid to do that.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. So, that's the problem, is that that wing of the Democratic Party has turned into almost a rebrand of Antifa.
It has.
And it's these are like paid professional protesters that go around doing these types of things. And it's, they're just trying to disrupt. And the normal reaction for folks on the far left now is not to try to change policy or get people elected. It's just to hit the streets and protest.
Oh, it's like the people like vandalizing Teslas that you see like that. I mean, it's
bombing or defaming dealerships and things of that nature. Yeah.
We were talking on the show yesterday. I asked my wife, I was like, did you ever think in a million years that the gun-toting MAGA hat conservatives would be the ones buying all the Tesla?
It's pretty funny. It's like literally flip-flopped. I mean, it's literally flip-flopped.
And that's the other thing about the polarization is there's obviously crazies on both sides, right? With the left, you have the people like that are going around vandalizing. And on the right, you've got the Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan and lunatics like that. But the difference I've noticed is people on the right don't run cover for those people.
No.
They don't want anything to do with the KKK. They don't even consider them to have anything to do with them.
Yep.
But whereas people on the left, I mean, at best, they just pretend they don't exist. And at worst, they're like, come on over here, buddy, because they've
been embraced.
It's the attack dog.
Yeah. So it's just I think it's bad politics, and it's going to end up resulting in more losses. I mean, people in Nebraska especially have to remember, Democrats in Nebraska, we've had several statewide and congressmen. I mean, starting from Frank Morrison and Jim Exon and Ben Nelson, and Heath Mello, who ran for mayor, and all these elected officials were all pro-life.
Yeah.
We all have these same positions. But for some reason, Mike Fahey's another one. So for some reason, those people just aren't welcome anymore.
Yeah.
And the Democratic Party used to be a big tent party. Mm-hmm. Now it's a very small tent. And you're right, about 10% of the extreme left controls pretty much everything the Democratic Party does.
Yeah.
And sometimes 10% of the extreme right controls everything that the Republican Party does. And then the rest of us are idiots, are stuck here in the middle, not even the middle, just like normal.
Right.
Just trying to get by and support issues that we care about. And, Mike always says, if I agree with someone 80% of the time, it doesn't make them my enemy. It makes them my friend.
Right. Even
that's
60%.
That's not how people operate anymore.
Yeah.
And that's why we see nothing happening in Washington and nothing happening in Lincoln and everything else, because everybody wants to just inject these radical party politics and everything. And that's just not how Mike operates.
Exactly. And so how's that been working out? Or have people been receptive to that message, you think?
I think voters are receptive to that. The parties don't necessarily like it so much, but the Republican Party's been very receptive to Mike, and he's been very, very welcomed. He spent a lot of time with the Douglas County Republican Party since he got in the race.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of time with the young Republicans. So I mean, he's doing his best to meet people and let them get to know him. I mean, it's a new relationship.
Yeah.
So, and Mike just doesn't walk around thinking, oh, what is the party going to say about this? Or what does the party think about that? He does what he believes.
Yeah.
And he acts on what he believes, which is why he took those controversial votes in Lincoln, even though they weren't necessarily popular with the electorate in Omaha, because that's what he felt was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and he spilled political blood for it, for sure.
So will the Douglas County Republicans, do you think you're going to get an endorsement, or are they going to stay out of this one?
I don't know. I think they meet Tuesday to make that decision.
Okay.
And Tuesday evening. So I don't know. I mean, we've asked for it and we're seeking it, and Mike has been attending their meeting. So we're hopeful that we might get some support from them. But once again, we're kind of a man without a party. He's kind of a man without a party. He doesn't have a traditional party base to go to anymore, other than working families. So
Stothard has, obviously, she's been in office for 12 years now.
Yep. More than that, actually, because she served on the city council.
Oh, that's right.
And the school board in Millard. So she's been a public official for
Oh, she's one of those
for probably 20 years now.
those career politicians that nobody likes,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But so she's been around obviously for a long time. She's got a lot of connections. Has there been a mate? So obviously she's got ties to the old money in the city,
Totally.
and the business connect. Has there been a lot of pushback from those people? Have you had? And you don't have to, obviously don't say any names or anything. I don't want to get anyone in trouble,
Of course.
But any pushback or kind of dirty politics coming from that side?
From it's interesting when we talk to some of these business folks. A lot of them are her donor. I mean, if you look at her donor list, it's a who's who of doing business. It's a who's who of who's doing business with the city. So large developers, landlords, things of that nature.
Yeah.
When we've talked to them, they're all very supportive behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But they're afraid of retribution from her.
They don't want to lose the contract.
So they don't want to lose contracts, or they don't want to get picked. They don't want a phone picked up and getting screamed at for supporting somebody. So it's there's been pushback in that regard, but nothing dirty wise or anything.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah,
Good.
We're expecting all of that from the Stosler campaign at some point, but we're ready for it.
You're gonna hold on and just wait for it.
We're ready for what they're going to bring.
It'll get a little nasty. Yeah, so I mean, she name dropped you in her public forum on Saturday.
Did she?
At the Free Speech Society. Yeah, because I asked her a question about the streetcar being unpopular, and she said that I don't know if you ran a poll or what, but she said you ran a push poll that was just meant to discourage people from supporting the streetcar.
So I did run a poll about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And it was not a push poll. It was the most simple, clean, scientific methodology possible.
Yeah.
It was a representative sample, which we shared with the media of the electorate. 400 people responded. We used cell phones, landlines, web-based, all the usual channels to acquire the surveys. And it asked 2 questions.
Yeah.
Do you support the streetcar? And if so, how often would you ride it?
Yeah.
About 75%, I don't remember exact number, but it was in the 70s, said we do not support the streetcar.
Yeah.
The 25 or 28% that did say they supported it said they might ride it once or twice a year.
Yeah.
So nobody wants it. Nobody's going to use it. And she can call it a push poll. Every time somebody has some kind of survey or poll that differentiates from her position, they're always lying or a push poll.
Yeah.
We provide all of the details and the science that goes behind it. It was not a push poll. And frankly, every poll I've seen done since has showed the same numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm sure her poll showed the same thing too.
Well, she claims that she's seen 3 or 4 that show the opposite. So
Well, I mean, God bless her. I mean, if she feels that way, keep doubling down on it, because I can promise you, when we go door to door and we talk to voters everywhere, that is the first thing most people bring up.
yeah.
Is why in the hell are we spending so much money on this stupid streetcar?
Well, and that's the problem with that type of forum is if she were here in this room on my show like you are right now, I could go, great, what are those polls?
Right.
Let's take a look
Yeah,
at
and
it.
I'm happy to share that poll with anybody. We distributed it publicly, including the methodology that went behind it.
Yeah.
So.
And the problem is, so realistically, how do they pay for this? Because they're saying it's not going to be taxes, but realistically, how are they going to pay for this?
They're using taxes to pay it right now.
Yeah.
So it's about a $400 million-ish project.
Yeah.
$80 million of that is revenue bonds.
Yeah.
That's tax dollars.
Yeah.
That is tax dollars that have already been used
Right.
for this. And then they're using TIF funding to fund the rest of it. So it's this phantom, hopeful business development that will be created along the streetcar route that will then hold those property tax dollars hostage for 20 years that will pay for the operations or pay for the construction of the streetcar. She has not told anybody how much it's going to cost to operate the streetcar. She has not told anybody how much it's going to cost to maintain the streetcar and how that's being paid for.
Right.
That is, and so she makes it sound like these developers are going into their pockets for $500 million.
Don't do that.
That is not what's happening. It's called tax increment financing for a reason, because it's taxpayer backed bonds. So if that development doesn't occur, we get stuck with the bill.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because she says if we try to stop it, she repeatedly claims that there are no tax dollars involved in this project, which is an outright blatant lie.
Their website says it is.
They've already spent $80 million of basically taxes on it. So, but she says there are no tax dollars involved, but if we stop it, we're all on the hook for it. So you can't have it both ways.
Right.
Either we are on the hook for it or we aren't.
Right.
And so if it gets built and it doesn't make any money. I mean, they're building it's going to be free fares.
Yeah.
And they're planning on using revenue from a 14-story parking garage in the new Mutual of Omaha Tower to pay for the maintenance and operation of it. So, even though people are going to be taking the streetcar to the Mutual Tower. So it's just so I'm not sure how 14 stories worth of parking is going to happen every day. But, we'll see how it goes.
Well, and it's like I said, one bad financial decision doesn't justify the continued bad financial decisions. I mean, I'm someone who, I was on a lot of credit card debt years ago.
Sure.
I stopped buying shit on credit cards.
Right.
I didn't go, well, I'm already 10 grand in. Let's just keep rolling.
And her argument is, well, we spent about $100 million of this already, so let's keep going. I mean, we can still not spend the other 400.
We can just stop.
Right. Yeah,
that's the whole point of it. And so, I mean, it's so frustrating. So TIF funding is specifically supposed to be spent on low-income areas, right?
Extremely blighted areas.
Yeah, and last time I checked, Midtown and the stadium don't qualify for that. So they're bending the rules.
And our state auditor did a very detailed report on how TIF is being used in Omaha, and he thinks it's being abused.
Yeah.
And Mike thinks it's being abused. Mike thinks it's a great tool.
Yeah.
And it is a great tool, and it can help develop some really great stuff in blighted or extremely blighted areas. Mm-hmm. They're using it for everything.
Yeah.
And so it's being abused, and ultimately the state auditor said this is the largest diversion of property tax dollars in Nebraska history. And, quote, it will be anything but free.
With the streetcar?
Yeah, the streetcar project.
Well, that's the thing. Is like you said, she's just bringing up the developers that are supposedly financing the project, but they don't mention maintenance. They don't mention running it, anything like that. And I had someone send me a link that was, quote unquote, proof that they weren't going to be using taxpayer money to pay for it. And one of the things on her own propaganda website, because that's all it is, it straight up says one of the ways we're going to pay for this is increased property values.
Right.
So they're not going to raise my taxes. They'll just raise the value of the item they're taxing, and then I'll have to pay however much more a year for something I'll never use.
Exactly.
And those of you that live in apartments, guess what? They're going to raise your rent too.
Totally.
The landlord's not just going to go, well, guess I'm out the tax.
Right. I'm all right. My property taxes went up. I'm just going to eat it.
No,
I mean, they're going to pass it on to their tenants.
Yeah,
and so,
exactly.
Yeah, it's a shell game she's playing. So she talks about how I've lowered the tax levy 5 times, and it's the lowest it's been in however many years.
Yeah.
Property taxes in the last 4 years have gone up 28%.
Yeah.
So you can't lower the levy and then say, hey, assessor, come on in here and bump these property. My property value alone has gone up almost 100% the last 10 years.
Oh, it's crazy.
I mean, it's outrageous.
It's crazy.
And
Mine
so
went up 30 last year.
Right. So mine went up 35 last year.
Yeah.
So it is, and nobody talks about the impact the construction is having on those businesses along the route right now. We hear from business owners in Blackstone all the time. They've lost 20-30% of their revenue. The city promised them that they would get that would get made up by the city somehow. They can't get in touch with anybody. They haven't heard anything. They're going to have to close. I mean, all kinds of horror stories about how it's being handled as well.
Yeah.
And so, those properties along the route are just going to be jacked up valuation-wise to help pay those property taxes. Yeah.
So what is this she's bragging about all the new developments that we're getting because of the streetcar? The investments are coming. Are these investments that would have come anyway, or are these investments that specifically said, well, you've got the streetcar coming, so we're going to build now?
They're using the streetcar as the excuse. There's a new condo complex that she announced, I think, last week in Blackstone. I mean, Blackstone's developing, and Blackstone is growing fast.
Yeah.
The city built a new parking garage, which I think is great for that area and was needed. But we're not seeing any revenue from it. I mean, it's not going to be a revenue generator.
Yeah.
So it is just it's unfair to the people that are impacted along the route. Mm-hmm. It is a pie in the sky scheme to build. It's a vanity project.
Yeah.
It's a bar hopping train, basically. Yeah. And it does not transport the public anywhere.
No.
And so Mike is very supportive of a better. This city has terrible public transportation. Yeah. And frankly, it's a car city.
Yeah.
And when I moved here 20 years ago, everybody bragged about how it was a 20-minute city.
Yeah.
We're not a 20-minute city anymore.
No.
And it's because of terrible roads, terrible construction planning, and just not, and not focusing on the infrastructure that we need, as opposed to building. The streetcar does nothing to alleviate that.
No,
absolutely nothing.
You can clearly see that when a lot of the parts of this city, when they were built, they were not built with the idea of expansion in mind. Like you go not far from here down 108th Street,
sure,
that's one lane of traffic, and it'll be backed up every morning if you try to take it at 8 or 9 a.m. because of school and people going to work. It's a disaster.
Out in West Omaha, the same thing. I mean, they built all this development along, all the north-south routes. So 156, 168th, 180th. If you try to get on any of those roads in the morning rush or the evening rush, it's a nightmare, because half of them are they're building them out now.
Yeah.
But all that construction causes major gridlock, and people are choked off from moving around the city.
They really are.
They're choked off.
Well, and that's the other thing is, you're right. It's not a 20-minute city anymore. I mean, I have friends that live out on 144th and Maple. I'm not going to get there in 20 minutes.
That's where I live.
Yeah.
I live on 156 and Maple.
Yeah.
We are choked off. And it's a good location.
Yeah.
You're just choked off.
Yeah.
Because of everything that's going on. So those are the types of things we're talking about in this campaign. Quality of life issues.
Right.
Can I get my 3 kids to 3 different schools in the morning and get to work in time?
Right.
No, I can't, because they have you have a entire lane of traffic coned off with nothing happening there for 2 weeks. It happens all over the city.
It's horrible.
And voters are pissed off about it, and they should be.
It's horrible. I mean, so that's a good segue into the next. So public transportation seems to be something that everybody's talking about. I hear all the candidates are talking about public transportation. Jasmine Harris wants to do some train between Omaha and Lincoln. I don't know how that's going to work.
Great idea.
Believe me, nobody likes the idea of being able to get blackout drunk at a tailgate and not have to worry about getting home more than I do, right? But so what do you guys like? What's the actual plan for public transport? Because I hear that as a buzzword a lot, and then I see these orbit buses going up and down Dodge with nobody on them. So I don't.
It's a nightmare. So our bus system is also completely dysfunctional.
Right.
The routes don't go where they're needed.
Yeah.
That's the first problem. We pay now, listen to this stat, $16,000 a year per passenger that ride that bus.
That's insane. Yeah.
$16,000 a year.
Yeah.
We could literally buy everybody a $10,000 Uber card, give it to them, and they could go wherever the hell they please, when the hell they please.
Just a beater car.
Or just buy them a beater, right? And save millions.
Yeah.
So obviously something needs to be done in regards to that. And Mike has always been a proponent of better public transportation, more logical public transportation. If you're going to build some type of streetcar system or light rail system, which is a little more sensical, why aren't we going to the airport?
Yeah.
Why aren't we taking people from the airport into town? Why don't we stretch out this line all the way west to go, from the airport to Nodo and the ballparks and the arena, down to the old market and down to the zoo, and then out to the Capitol District and Blackstone and Sarbin and Village Point and Westbrook. I mean, that people would actually move better around the city if you actually had transportation that made sense.
Yeah.
Mike's talked about building an 880 corridor, going from basically Bennington through Elkhorn and out to the interstate in Gretna to alleviate all that West Omaha traffic that's clogged up 204th Street and gets stuck on Dodge as well.
Yeah.
We've talked about an L Street Expressway, like they did the Dodge Street Expressway, to move traffic east and west in the city. So he has some big ideas that are all could come to fruition, but we're too busy focusing on a tiny little 3 mile streetcar when we have 4,500 miles of streets in this city.
Yeah. And that would be a good idea, an L Street Expressway. I haven't even thought of that. I mean, you've got Dodge, and then down south over here, there's nothing.
Right. And it would really alleviate, you're talking about Papillion, La Vista, Bellevue. I mean, there's no alleviation of that situation here right now.
We just moved back here from La Vista. We had moved out of the city for a couple years, and we just moved back here from La Vista last year. And it's how cut off you are. If you're south of
you might as well drive to Lincoln.
It literally everything. And that's what we were so happy. Oh, we're secluded out here. And then the second we wanted to go anywhere that wasn't in our immediate hemisphere, it's like we're cut off. Like we may as well be in Louisville. We're so far away from everything.
Yeah.
It's so no. It was just
same thing for folks like that live in the Bennington area and some of the SIDs that are in Omaha up there. we are choked off.
Yeah. Sorry, make sure you point that mic at yourself.
Oh, sorry.
Unless you get cut off. The commenters will be mean.
We are choked off.
Yeah.
In this city, and we're going to do something to fix that.
Yeah. So policing, there's another big issue. What's going on with that? So she brags about the 100 police officers she hired, but she lost 150.
She forgot that she lost almost 200 others. We were really excited and honored to get the endorsement of the rank and file officers of the Omaha Police Department, the Omaha Police Officers Association.
Yeah.
It's about 880 officers. She's gotten exactly 2 public safety endorsements.
Her employees.
Both of her people that she politically appointed.
That's what I was telling.
Which is like the most hilarious thing ever. It's like she grabbed him by the ear. You better get out here and endorse me because I appoint. I mean, Chief Schmatter, who's been a good police chief and is well liked.
Yeah.
I mean, she gave the guy a 5-year extension on his deferred retirement. He's basically going to walk out of the city with a $2 million bag of cash in 5 years, plus a $190,000 pension or $180,000 pension.
Yeah.
And so, of course he's going to endorse her.
Right. I mean, if I had
Of course, Chief Bossman's going to endorse her. She got the same deal as far as deferred retirement.
Yeah.
None of the actual police officers or firefighters got that same deal.
Yeah.
Just those 2. So we're pretty proud of the fact that all of the 1,600 rank and file cops and firefighters in this city all want Mike McDonnell to be their mayor.
Yeah.
And don't think that Jean's getting the job done.
Yeah.
She talks about how she's funded the police department. Mm-hmm. Well, they haven't used it to buy new cops. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
There's been a major police shortage in this city for several years, really since about 2019. Mm-hmm. And what she blames on COVID.
Yeah.
But every other city around us, matter of fact, this is another great stat. Guess what state had the best police recruitment results in 2023?
Was it Iowa?
Nebraska.
Oh, Nebraska? Okay.
Nebraska recruited more cops per capita than any other state in the country, except for Omaha.
So there's no excuse.
Except for Omaha.
Yeah.
So, they're underpaid, they're overworked, they're short-staffed, which means we're not even having police. Mostly, there's almost no patrolling between 10:30 p.m. and 6 a.m. in the city anymore.
That's crazy.
She brags about drunk driving numbers being down. I wonder why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, right. Because we're not out there enforcing anything.
Yeah.
So it's just something needs to be done to recruit more officers and have a smarter approach to how we do it. We spend $35,000 a year on police recruitment.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
That is
they don't have year-round recruiting, which we want to do. They don't do enough to try to laterally recruit people from other cities. So we're going to be focusing a lot on beefing up the staff, possibly contracting with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, who is fully staffed, to help patrol some of the West Omaha areas that aren't getting patrolled, and come up with this, make sure Omaha police are the highest paid department in the city. They represent 25% of the state.
They should be.
And we're the 4th highest paid department in the city. And so, Mike wants to make sure that it is an attractive job to come work for, we have to find ways to attract more police officers in the city. I mean, we don't even, as far as female officers are concerned, we don't even offer maternity leave.
Are you serious?
For female officers. Which is something the Police Officers Association has been asking for 4 years.
Yeah.
At the bargaining table.
Yeah.
No maternity leave. So no wonder they can't recruit any.
Man, I can't imagine a pregnant woman walking around with a gun. That's just
that's dangerous. It's
a dangerous situation for everybody involved, man. I don't know about that. So
recruitment, staffing, all these things.
Yeah.
Extremely important. They brag about crime numbers being down. You're going to be hearing something from us soon about crime numbers that aren't exactly what they say they are.
I've heard. That seems to be a national trend too.
Yeah,
you saw a lot of that with the previous administration's FBI crime statistics.
Yep,
there was something. I mean, you found they were talking about crime being at record lows, and they weren't counting like L.A., Phoenix, and Pittsburgh, and
we're doing the same thing here.
Yeah,
we're going to be rolling that information out.
Good.
Shortly, and I think people are going to be very surprised and upset to hear about it.
People should be upset about it. And it's like I said it on the show yesterday that we did. This whole thing where we're at a net negative for police officers as the city continues to expand. So you've got less guys now covering more ground and more people.
More 911 calls last year than ever in history. So how are we have the lowest crime rate but the highest number of 911 calls?
Yeah, that doesn't
explain
make
that
sense.
to me.
That doesn't make any sense.
You know what I mean? So it's right. You're just understaffed. It's just understaffed. And I think for the most part, people feel like Omaha's a safe place. And again, these folks do an amazing job. And the chief has been a good. I mean, he's widely recognized as a good police chief. So this isn't anything. We don't have any issues with Chief Schmaderer.
Yeah.
It's just they aren't getting the job done right, and they're not spending the money that they need to spend to make sure the city's kept safe. And God forbid some kind of George Floyd incident or something were to happen here, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the capacity to staff to handle that situation.
And that's interesting you mentioned that, because when you saw the knee-jerk reaction to the George Floyd thing was everyone wanted to defund the police.
Right.
And they cut their funding, they cut their staffing, and what you saw was they all quietly walked that back because they realized that, oh shit, we've got less guys working more hours. These guys are stressed out. They're running on no sleep. They're working crazy 18-hour
forced
shifts.
Overtime. Yeah.
And that's when the mistakes happen. I mean, it's a proven fact. When you're working crazy hours and you're not sleeping and you're stressed like that,
no doubt,
you don't react the way you normally would.
I mean, no human being would.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's we just need to do better. We need to do better for our police department. We need to do better for the public safety of the city.
Yeah.
I mean, and we deserve that.
Yeah, because it is only a matter of time till one of them, from being overworked, does something that gets on national news.
We're so understaffed. For example, if I had my golf club stolen out of my truck on my driveway, I filed a police report, and they basically said, "Well, good luck. Go check the pawn shops."
Yeah.
There's nobody investigating thefts, fraud claims, if your identity's stolen, if somebody steals your ATM card, those types of things.
Yeah.
They don't have people to investigate it.
Yeah.
So they just go uncleared.
That's crazy.
And so these are property crimes, things of that nature. They just go uncleared.
Yeah.
Because they just don't have the capacity to investigate them. So it's really not a good situation.
And what happens with that, and you've seen this happen in places like Chicago and Detroit, where the police, if they don't investigate these types of crimes, people start taking matters into their own hands, and people start getting shot over property crimes, theft, stuff that probably shouldn't shoot somebody over, but they're just sick of it. They don't want to be victims anymore, and they're like, all right, well, we're just going to deal with this ourselves.
Yeah, and the city's done a generally good job of curbing violent crime recently, which is great, and we congratulate them for that. But quality of life crimes are skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And so, and those are the things that people care about. It's are they safe in their homes?
Right.
Is their property safe?
Yeah.
Things of that nature. Is my information and data safe?
Yeah.
Things that, and people care about that stuff, and we're not doing anything to protect them in that regard.
Yeah. So homelessness, there's a quality of life question. That seems to be it is a growing problem here. The numbers just keep increasing every year, it seems like. And I mean, you can't go downtown without, there's homeless people on every corner. We had the issue where the individual froze to death because she got kicked out of a shelter for having a dog with her or something.
It was a service dog.
She was epileptic. My wife's epileptic, and she doesn't have a service dog for it, but I mean, it's just, I don't know how that's not front page news that they kicked this woman out.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And we have Omaha, Nebraska has the fastest growing unsheltered homeless population in America.
Yeah.
In America.
Yeah.
We and the Stothard administration's they're attacking this problem by hiring one person.
Yeah.
There's one person that's in charge of the entire homeless population, monitoring the entire homeless population in this city. Yeah. And clearly is not getting the job done. Right. Now, that doesn't mean that person doesn't have a good heart and the right mind and the right goals in mind, but you just don't, it's the wrong policy. All we're doing is counting homeless people. Yeah. We're not rehousing them. We're not finding transitional housing. We're not, we may be connecting them to other organizations. But again, you go to a shelter like Sienna Francis House, you can't bring your pet. Yeah. You want to go to the Stevens Center, you can't be addicted to drug or alcohol. So right. There are barriers to accessing the shelters. Yeah. Which is why we have 100 tent cities in this city right now. Yeah. 100 encampments. Which are dangerous. Very dangerous. We just had one catch on fire last week. And people are sick and dying in them. Yeah. And what Mike wants to do is take a more FEMA-like approach, put these folks in an area where it's safe, where they have access to basic facilities, running water, heat, air conditioning, food, shelter, and access to the counseling and the services people need to find addiction help, transitional housing, permanent housing, things of that nature. And part of the solution is also of more affordable housing, which is a big problem in Omaha.
Huge problem.
And not just for low income people, for everybody.
We were just talking about housing prices.
So it's incredible. And really a lot of that's caused by property valuations. We need zoning reform. Only 20% of the city is zoned for multifamily housing. So Mike wants to talk about doing things of that nature. We have, a significant percentage of the low income housing stock is now owned by private equity firms that are based in New York or Florida or California.
Yeah.
And they're basically out of state slumlords that jack up rents and make people, it makes it hard to access.
You just saw that there was an apartment complex downtown. What was it? It was
City View.
City View. There was massive.
They evacuated it last night. They've had problems there for months.
Yeah.
They went over a year without being inspected. That's an Omaha Housing Authority project.
Oh,
that's
really?
a property. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There was a gas leak yesterday, and the thing just passed inspection like a week or two ago. So I don't know what the hell these inspectors are doing. I don't know. We certainly don't have enough of them.
Yeah.
But we're not taking responsibility for the folks that we're supposed to be taking care of and are being paid by the federal government to take care of.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a better job of that.
Yeah, it's just so crazy. It's like the Gene Leahy Mall has basically become a homeless encampment at nighttime.
What do you think the streetcar is going to be?
Right, that's exactly what I said.
You look at every other city in the country that has a streetcar, and they're basically roaming homeless shelters.
That's what, and what that's going to lead to is nobody's going to use it.
Of course,
certainly not women.
Of course,
and the problem is there's two types of homeless people. There's people that are down on their luck and had some shit happen to them, and then there's people with real problems.
Yeah.
The guy masturbating in the street didn't just lose his job at an insurance brokerage, right?
Right. That's exactly right. And a lot of it's mental health issues, addiction issues, or both. And that needs to be addressed. We got to find the solution for the core problems that cause homelessness, right? And you're right. There are two types of homeless folks. There are the ones that are down on their luck, and there are the ones that have serious mental health, addiction, or other problems. And just can't figure it out. So we need to do a better job. We need to run to human suffering, not count it.
Right.
So and that's what Mike's been doing all his life as a firefighter and a fire chief, and we want to help these folks, but right now, counting them is not helping them. That's not telling them they can't leave allowing people to encamp in front of businesses, buying homes. Mike interviewed a bunch of business owners downtown yesterday that you'll see come out on his very popular Mike on the Mic segment.
Yeah, it's a great segment. I love it.
And he interviewed a business owner, for example, yesterday that is homeless folks are coming into the hotel that he owns.
Yeah.
There was a knife fight there recently. There's one guy that comes in and masturbates in front of people in the lobby repeatedly. No arrests ever.
No.
On harassing employees, stealing food, breaking into ATMs. The business owners have rights too. And public safety has to come first.
Right.
Before we address anything else. We need to make sure public safety is first.
Yeah.
And these encampments are dangerous. And Mike he tried in the legislature to pass legislation that would help harmonize the city's ordinances with the state and county's ordinances. So right now, the Douglas County, if there's somebody camping under a state highway, the law enforcement is allowed to warn them and move them after they get a warning.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to do that in the city.
Oh, really?
No.
I didn't know that.
No, we're not allowed to do that in the city. So, the Stothard campaign repeatedly says Mike wants to criminalize homelessness.
Yeah, she called you Hitler.
She said our encampments would be like concentration camps, which is offensive to people like me that lost 36 family members in concentration camps.
It's such an insane thing to say.
So, and we're actually just trying to help folks.
Yeah.
You don't get food, water. It's really just offensive to think about her calling those concentration camps.
Kamala did the Hitler narrative with Trump, and you saw how that worked out for her. It people are like, that's ridiculous.
Right. It's just outrageous hyperbole that doesn't belong, frankly, in our public sphere right now. I mean, it's just we're beyond that. At least we thought.
That's like watching a boxer who's out on his feet try to land the knockout blow because he's lost the points.
Right.
You know, I mean,
and so in regards to her saying Mike wants to criminalize homelessness, all he is trying to do is give law enforcement the same tools that they have at the county and state level.
Yeah.
That's all he was trying to do is give them the ability to go to that woman who died in her tent that night and say, look, it's negative 17 degrees out here. I know you don't want to go anywhere, but we're moving you.
Yeah.
And we're going to get you somewhere safe for the night.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to do that right now in the city. And that is ridiculous.
It was such a crazy thing to me because it's like, when you get too much bureaucracy, that's how people get harmed, because you get everyone that's terrified for bending the rules or anything. I mean, if it just on a human level, you could go, you know what? You're not supposed to have the dog here, but it's negative 20 degrees outside.
We'll figure it out tomorrow.
Yeah,
exactly.
Tomorrow morning.
Exactly.
That's all you have to say.
That's exactly.
You've got everyone who's so scared that, oh my God, they're overseeing us and I could lose my job and blah 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 blah. You forget the human element and you lose.
I mean, they interviewed her tent mate that was next to her the next morning, and he said that they all walk around with these he showed the can filled with hand sanitizer that they light on fire and basically to keep their tents warm.
Yeah.
And he said, well, she probably ran out of hand sanitizer.
Jesus.
I mean, that's really what we've devolved into in regards to our homeless population.
It's like a Mad Max movie or something.
It really is. And we are better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Omaha.
Yeah.
This isn't Chicago or Detroit or something. I mean, and we are better than that, and we can do better and taking some simple steps to do that other than just hiring a homeless coordinator.
Yeah.
That's all we've done.
Yeah.
Now she has an assistant apparently, but I mean,
that's what
and I'm sure the homeless coordinator is probably, if she had the proper tools, would do a great job.
Yeah.
Because she has an amazing background from what I understand.
Yeah.
But you can't solve the homeless crisis with one person.
No.
And all their job is basically to create these dashboards that count where the camps are and how many people are in them.
We'll take reports and numbers and database. That's a big problem with education and everything. Is you got people, their whole job is to just create spreadsheets, and they don't do anything else with it.
So I mean, so we're going to take a different approach to it. It is the fastest growing population in the country. Obviously, people were very concerned about it here.
Yeah,
and we're going to make sure that the folks that need help get the help that they need without disrupting businesses and residents in the process.
Yeah.
And that's important. And make sure we're keeping people safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because you hear stories all the time about kids getting lured to these encampments and start attempting to lure them to these encampments. I mean, I don't know when the last time you've been to Denver is, but
I've been there recently. It's pretty awful.
Entire blocks over. I mean, I was down there a couple years ago and we were on the road for comedy. And I mean, we're just walking to get something to eat, and I got a guy pull a knife on me, people trying to lure me into a van.
My son was on his bike with a bunch of his friends. He bikes around and goes fishing all over the city, these little fishing holes, and he was riding down this bike path, and two homeless folks jumped out and tried to grab him off their bikes, and their encampments in the woods
in Omaha
behind homes. Yes, it was 168th and Dodge.
How old were your kid?
He's 13.
Jesus.
So Christ. It's a problem, and it's not just a problem, by the way, downtown.
No,
it's a problem all over the city. 100 encampments.
Yeah.
So we want to have a more organized situation when it comes to camps. Mm-hmm. Find people more shelter, and get them out of these tents, because you're not finding any help in a tent under a bridge somewhere, or in a box somewhere. No. You're not finding any help there.
And we actually have to punish the ones that are committing the crimes, just like with juveniles. I mean, it's you see this thing. There seems to be this mentality that if you're a homeless person or a kid who commits a crime, that you're the victim, and we forget the actual victims of these crimes.
Mike was talking about that. He talked about that at the debate a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
nobody's actually talking about the victims,
the actual victims. Yeah, right. No, don't get me wrong. Like it's sad if you're 12 years old and you're robbing a liquor store. Someone let you down.
Of course, somebody
horrible.
Definitely failed you along the way.
You got let down time and time again, but that single mother that got a 9mm stuck in her face is still a victim, and there needs to be justice for her.
That's exactly right.
We have to find the medium. Like, it's sad that you're homeless and a drug addict and an alcoholic and schizophrenic and you can't get help. That's sad. But the kid you tried to snatch off the bike trail, we need to keep you away from society.
Right.
That there has to be a multifaceted way to look at this, not just black and white.
Totally.
So I've noticed her taking some. You guys seem to be the only ones she attacks. What did you do to piss her off?
These two have not liked each other for a long time.
Oh, really?
And it's a long. They have a long history. Ironically, Mike McDonnell was probably her biggest supporter when she ran for legislature in 2004, I think it was. I was involved in that race on the other side, and we ended up beating her by 14 votes.
Yeah.
And she's been bitter ever since. And so it's you know, they've had a tenuous relationship. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And so but yeah, I mean, there are 4 people running for this office.
5 now.
5 now, excuse me. 4 people running against her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Running against her. And she just seems to want to talk about us, which is fine. We like it when she talks about us.
It's lots of attention there.
It does. I mean, it's she can't seem to keep Mike's name out of her mouth these days. So
that tells me she sees it as a 2-horse race.
Look, I know John Ewing very well.
Yeah.
He is a good guy.
Yeah.
I actually helped him extensively on his first run for treasurer. And I think Jasmine Harris is a very talented person as well.
I met her Saturday. She's
very,
a nice lady.
very
Nice
talented.
lady.
Very talented and a good person. But we're the only one to have a chance to beat her.
Yeah.
At least in our polling, that's what that shows.
That's the fact. And Ewing, believe it or not, give him credit where it's due. He, I'm not saying I have a positive experience at the DMV. It's not the
no. Yeah, I mean, John. Yeah, I mean, look, John is a good person who served our city for a long time as a police officer, as a or the county treasurer.
Yeah.
And done a lot of work in the philanthropic community, and is a good guy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we don't think he has the ability to beat Gene Stothard, and our goal is to find a new person to run the city.
I agree. I don't think he does either. I think he is Heath Mello 2.0. I think he's
without the money.
Yeah, without the money behind him, and I think that it's like, are you a football fan?
I'm a huge football fan.
2007 Patriots. I'm a New England fan. They were undefeated.
My son's a New England fan too.
Smart.
My oldest boy.
Yeah, well, he's gonna have to go through some years of suffering, unfortunately.
Well, you got the Drake May. He's a good guy to grow around.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I'm hopeful, cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
But so I mean, 2007 Patriots. They were a machine. They were 16-0. If you wanted to beat them, you had to do some crazy shit. You had to try to do some things that other people weren't willing to do. And what I see with John Ewing is more of the same. He's not willing to take the swings that it's going to take to knock someone off who's been
well. And he is. I think that's a good characterization of what it is. He talks about 43 years of service to the city.
Yeah.
Well, why are we where we are?
Yeah.
If that's the case, and are you going to continue to do things the same way? Which it sounds like he is. I mean, when it comes, on a lot of these issues, he's just kind of a go along to get along guy.
Yeah.
Or get along to go along guy.
Yeah.
So, I don't think people want more of the same. I don't think career politicians are what they're looking for. Mike is not that at all. And so, Mike has some pretty big ideas on how to change things around here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's appealing to people. I think people want change. 12 years is a long time to serve in office.
It's too long.
Especially an executive of a city.
It's too long for an executive branch,
Yeah, and so, I think people generally just want a change and new blood to see how we can move the city forward in a better direction. And I think Mike is the one that's positioned to do that.
I think Tony Connor put it the best. He said that there is a shelf life on effective leadership.
There is,
and that's the best way I've seen it, and that's why we have term limits for the
president. I mean, what Mayor Stothard is doing now as mayor is basically monetizing the city government as much as she can for her big donors and her rich friends.
Yeah,
that is what she's doing.
That's what it looks like to me.
She has significantly more money than we do. Like I said, her donor list is a who's who of doing business with the city.
Yeah.
And so, we're up against a huge establishment machine, basically, that we're trying to break through.
Yeah.
And I think voters are hungry for that.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get that message out well enough to be victorious.
I think it's resonating because you're building a coalition similar to what we saw with Trump in 2024. You've got Republicans, Democrats, Independents, people who are just tired of the status quo.
Yeah.
And it just needs to change.
Yeah. And Mike's not scared to address those issues head on.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a guy who has his beliefs.
Yeah.
He doesn't try to shove his beliefs down your throat.
Right.
But he ultimately just wants to collaborate and find common sense solutions. So you and I might agree on 50% of things.
Sure.
So let's work on the 50% we agree on and put that other shit aside. Well, you know what I mean? It's and actually solve some problems here.
There also needs to be a pragmatic approach to it. So, I mean, let's say you are a Democrat who's concerned about trans kids and abortion. The mayor doesn't have a say in that.
No,
the same way he doesn't have a say in winner take all.
That's exactly right.
Let's focus on getting the garbage picked up and the potholes filled. And we can
worse than that. All those issues are worse than ever. That's what we talk about, getting back to the basics, to the foundation of the city, which is cracked.
Yeah.
We're so focused on vanity projects like streetcars. We don't fix our streets.
Yeah.
Which are in disrepair.
Yeah.
Complete disrepair.
They are.
Our potholes have potholes. I mean, it's literally gotten to that point.
It's a third world country.
Right.
It's like Ukraine.
And so you can't, those are the things Mike wants to focus on, the basics, the things that mayors are supposed to accomplish.
Not culturally.
Attracting jobs, attracting businesses, attracting employees with living wage jobs, things of that nature. I mean, those are the things mayors need to be doing.
Yeah.
And making sure we're getting the basics right. Are our streets getting cleared appropriately when it snows and ices?
Yeah.
Are we fixing our potholes? Obviously, the way we fix potholes now doesn't work because we fill them up and then they just crack again. I mean, there needs to be a different approach, and Mike's talked about that a little bit. So, streets, public safety, garbage. I know you just mentioned the garbage situation.
Or they could just not throw my cans on the ground and break the lids and then tell me I have to buy a new one.
Right. Right. I mean, those are things. Those are things that we're talking about addressing, as opposed to how we can make our donors richer. Which is what her focus is.
So do we have any concern that, I know the CWS is a big deal for the city. Do we have any concern that maybe they could say, hey, there's been some type of backroom deal made that says if you don't build the streetcar, you're going to lose the World Series?
No, I mean, the World Series, I think, just signed a 25-year contract.
Oh, did they? I wasn't. Okay. Yeah.
And the streetcar doesn't go anywhere near that place anyways.
Oh, okay. So that doesn't have
it doesn't go over there.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's not, there might be future plans for that, but this phase, this initial $500 million phase is a 3-mile stretch between 48th Street and downtown.
Oh, that doesn't have anything to do
3
with
miles.
Okay.
So it's not moving people from the airport to the CWS, or from the CWS to the zoo, or the CWS out west. It's not doing any of that stuff.
Oh,
it's just a bar hopping train.
It's a bar. Oh, okay.
It's a bar hopping train.
So you're going to park your car? I mean, just walk. Stop being lazy.
Well, and look, and I'm not saying new public transportation ideas aren't worthy of discussion and even investment, but this one in particular doesn't make sense.
There's better use of public funds for public transport than a drunk train.
Yes,
that's what you're saying.
That's what we're saying.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And if we can stop, and we want to try to stop it, and we certainly want to keep the mayor's campaign promise from 8 years ago.
Yeah,
which was we'd all get a vote on it.
And
there's literally a clip of her on KETV talking about how we have to have a vote for this thing before we do anything. And then there's another clip on KETV that says, no. You guys elected me to make these decisions. We don't need to let the people vote. Well, so Mike is going to stop this thing in its tracks.
Yeah.
Put it to a vote and then figure it out.
Well, now she's claiming that she never even had the authority to bring that to a vote. The city council had to do it. And I'm like, why would you make promises that you knew you couldn't keep? Or make a promise without double checking to see if you could keep it. I mean, if you do that in the private sector, you lose your job.
The city council has to vote to put it on the ballot.
Yeah.
When the city council knows 70+% of people don't want this thing, I'm pretty sure they'll allow the people to vote, because there'll be a riot if there isn't.
I hope so. Otherwise,
they'll be under a lot of political pressure to do that.
There's going to be quite the uprising. Well, let's hope he wins.
We hope the same thing.
Primaries April 1st.
April 1st. We got about 10 days left. So I think at the time of this airing, we'll have about 8 days left.
8 days left. Yeah.
We encourage people to just get out there. Very low turnouts in city elections.
Early voting's underway, right?
Early voting's underway right now. You can walk into the election commissioner and vote right now. You can still vote. You can still return your early vote applications in, I think, by the 24th. Okay. So I mean, it's a small window to vote early, to turn your mail-in vote early.
Yeah.
But these issues are important. Look, I think people always love to go vote for president, or Congress, or U.S. Senate, or governor.
Yeah.
But mayors affect our lives more than any of them.
That's what I tell everybody. Yeah.
Mayors affect our lives more than everybody.
Yep.
It is the bread and butter issues that people care about, quality of life issues.
Yep.
Are my schools safe? Are my streets, can I get around the city safely and efficiently? can I take my kid to look, the Gene Leahy Mall, beautiful.
Sure.
The work they did on it, beautiful. I live 156 in Maple. I might go down there a couple times a year with my kids.
Yeah.
But you know where I do go almost every week? My neighborhood park, which is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we need to be focusing on. Getting back to our neighborhoods and investing in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Those are the things Mike wants to do.
Absolutely. Do you have anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
No, I would just encourage people to go to MikeForOmaha.com, learn more about them. Volunteer if you're interested in volunteering. If you want a yard sign, ask for one. If you can donate, that's great too. We're obviously way underfunded compared to our opponent.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's there's lots of ways to help, and we would love it, and we would encourage people just to vote for change.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Gil.
Great.
Appreciate the
Absolutely.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, guys. That's been our show. We got Monday unsolicited advice coming back up, and then business as usual. You know the deal. Cheat on your taxes, not your spouse, and stay based.